Hello and good afternoon. Myself Kanchi Batra, Assistant Editor, The Times of Africa magazine. I'm here at Studio One and today I'm joined by the Deputy Head of Mission from the Republic of South Sudan to India, Mr. James P. Morgan. So first of all, a very warm welcome here in Studio One. It's been a pleasure for us to have you here.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, the Time Magazine of Africa. I think this is our first time since we came to India that we have interacted with one of the media outlets like the Times of Africa, and it is my pleasure being here with you.
Thank you. First of all, brief us about this new nation in the African continent, South Sudan.
Well, it is also a pleasure for me to take this opportunity to the viewers and listeners of this interview to brief them about the nation South Sudan. South Sudan is not new on the map of the world. South Sudan had been there since time immemorial. It had been one of Sudan, part of Sudan previously, and due to problems that arise more than 50 years ago, today we have come to witness a newborn nation called South Sudan. South Sudan is located geographically. We are bordering Uganda in the south, we have Kenya in southeast, we have Ethiopia in the east, and we have Sudan, where we separated from, in the north, and then we have Central Africa in the west, and DRC Congo in southwest. Briefly, South Sudan is a country that is less than 2 years old country. We had been a problem of coexistence with the present Sudan in the north. We were one of the colonies of the British empires in Africa, and in 1956 Sudan as a whole opted for an independence, which South Sudan was a part of it, but in the process it didn't work well, and there had been a lot of fightings, rebellions, and unrest due to differences of opinions. Categorically, many would like to know the reasons why there had been a lot of these fightings in Sudan, which now has led to the secession of the South Sudan as an independent country. South Sudan, of course, is an African entity or territory. The majority of the people in South Sudan are Christians, Africans, as compared to the north, which was, though they were Africans, but they were, majority of them were Islamized, and they were Muslims, which was not a problem. You know, religion is not always a problem, but politics can spoil everything.
Correct. So
in the period of coexistence as one Sudan, the main question was whether we would bring in religious laws into the country, whereby the north to prefer to implement the Sharia Islamic laws, while in the south, the majority who were not Muslims, they said no, we would prefer a country to be free of religion. There must be a separation of state and religion. So this argument continued until it led into armed struggle. So during this process, so many agreements were made, but it didn't work out until 2005. This was now after 50 years. In 2005, then a comprehensive peace agreement was signed in neighboring Nairobi, Kenya, which was now giving the people of South Sudan an opportunity to decide on their own affairs whether they would like to vote in the referendum, which was going to be internationally supervised, whether they would like to vote for the same unity of Sudan, or they would prefer to opt for their own country. So this referendum was done in January of 2011, which majority of the people of South Sudan preferred that instead of continuing this armed struggle, which was endless, it was better to bring it to an end by voting the secession of the South Sudan. So in that referendum, the results of the referendum came out as a 99.9% people who were favoring the separation.
Okay.
And that is why the South Sudan is now known as the Republic of South Sudan through that referendum.
Okay, and what is the current state of relationship of South Sudan with other different countries of Africa?
Well, our main principle is to coexist with anybody in the world. We have no any problem. Even with the Sudan that we separated from, we are just trying to be together with them, because people that we have lived with them for a long time, and we have a lot of different kinds of relationships. There were few intermarriages here and there. We have children who their parents are either from the north or the south. So we had maintained that this is still could be maintained, even though we live in separate countries, but we still can coexist as neighbors. We want to live in a good neighborhoodness with the north and with anybody else who happen to be in our neighborhood. That is within. And then in the whole of Africa as a continent, we are also there as people who want to play a role of peacemaking.
Okay.
And to become a partners of peace in the continent as well as international. That is our policy.
Correct. Yes. And talking about the investment climate in South Sudan, how would you propose to Indians to come and invest in your country?
Well, we have Indians are people whom we have envied a lot, given our proximity to many African countries that are neighboring us. The Indians had been very successful in neighboring Uganda and in Kenya, and then in Tanzania, which is not bordering us. And we have seen Indians everywhere. They are always very successful. So we have also decided or requested that South Sudan is now open for business, and we would like the Indians to bring their skills, to bring their technology, to bring their experience, to bring whatever they have to invest in this nation, which is just a virgin, a nation that completely is new, and it has got a lot of priorities, or let me just put it this way, that everything in South Sudan is a priority. So we would like Indian investors to come to South Sudan. South Sudan is open for business. That is the call.
Any special incentives?
Well, there are so many areas. In which area now you mean that which area would be preferable for the Indians who are interested to come to South Sudan? We have always maintained also that the best thing to go about is, first of all, somebody has to come and see the place.
Correct.
Let them come and see the place. Let them come and get acquainted to the situation. Let them come and see what they can do on the ground before they come and make up their minds. And that is what the Embassy of the Republic of South Sudan here in Delhi is going to play this role by giving visas to any interested Indian businessmen who would like to come to South Sudan and see by himself or by herself what he or she can do in South Sudan.
Are you getting some inquiries from the Indian corporates in order to go to South Sudan?
Yeah, so far we have some people who have already gone. Many of them have gone. Some were invited by, you see, we have a system of states. I think India also has its states. Here you have 28 states, In South Sudan, we have 10 states. I think there was a very big delegation which was invited to come to South Sudan by the state of Western Equatoria, who the delegation from Western Equatoria visited Mumbai, and they went up to Chennai, and then they visited Pune and visited so many business places. So on their going back to South Sudan, they also sent an invitation to those business people who were interested to come to South Sudan. And this has been going on now for almost a month. I have seen some people went. When they arrived there, they also sent that they needed 4 of their colleagues to come and join them. So what we do is always just to issue them visa, let them go and join their colleagues, let them come out with what they want to do in that state. And that will be exemplary kind of the investment that the Indian people would like to do in South Sudan.
Okay, and what about the tourism sector of your country?
Tourism is one of the most really important industry, because first of all, I think we discussed somehow with some of your team members in my office last time. We have the tourism, which is very magnetic and very interesting. South Sudan, as I said, is a land that is virgin, that has never been, nothing has been ever been done on it. It's just something like new. So when you come to the tourism, you can mention anything you want to go for. Then we also have various kinds of animals found in South Sudan. We have elephants, we have African buffalo, we have all these antelopes, we have all these kind of things. And then coming to this kind of the Nile itself. The Nile itself provides a lot of kinds of animals that you cannot even imagine. We have crocodiles, we have what? So anybody who has maybe has seen these things on the TV,
the Big
or
Five,
they have seen them on the Big Five, or they might have seen it even on the Discovery Channel. I think it is better for them to come and see it live.
Correct.
On the ground in South Sudan. So the tourism industry is one of the major industries that we are putting it on the stage for the development.
Any special efforts from the embassy in order to promote it in India specifically?
Yes, we see, when I came here in May, my mission was to come and set up the embassy first of all. Now that the embassy is being set up, we will also play our role to bring a lot of these materials.
Promotional materials.
Promotional materials for people who will not be able to travel right away.
Correct.
So in a few days, maybe after Christmas, or because many people now back home are already traveling for Christmas. So I think the new year is the time when we will be launching those kind of things.
Okay.
We will bring those promotional materials to the embassy for people to come and see by their own eyes. Yes.
And what, according to you, is the role and importance of the infrastructure in the development of the economy? How developed it is basically in South Sudan?
See, as I said, that South Sudan had been in war for a long time. Since the time the British left South Sudan in 1956, since then, there had never been any development.
Okay.
The development that had been there was only promotion of weaponry, the weapons. That the North, because they had wanted to suppress the will of the people of South Sudan, and then to suppress that will was through the barrel of gun. So South Sudan was a ground of all types of weapons that were brought from any friendly country that Sudan used to get its arms from. So there was no development. The infrastructure was very poorly done up to now. After the independence, we are now struggling also to put the infrastructure in place, because we understand that infrastructure is the most important thing.
Correct.
Without infrastructure, nothing can be done. So this 50 years of war has made a very big setback to us, but we are going to work on it, and we are working on it already. And this is an area also that we are asking our friends in India to help us in this area, the infrastructure in South Sudan. And that is one of the most important things we are asking. Our government has asked on many occasions. Recently there was a delegation of Indian business people, mostly were on the government side, but few were business people who went with them, accompanying the special envoy of India to South Sudan. And I think that was one of the main issue that was on the table.
Okay.
It was good that our president was able to meet the delegation that came from India, and I think that was one of the issues that was put on the table, that India should assist us in this area of the infrastructure.
Okay, and which other sector where you think India could play a major role?
There are many areas. For example, I said everything in South Sudan is a priority. You know, we have a very vast land, agriculture.
Okay.
We have always also asked India, how did India succeed in feeding its big population? That means they have a knowledge and a technical know-how. They have an experience in the area of agriculture. So with our land, which is very fertile, at this moment we don't need fertilizers.
Okay.
Because the land is virgin and the land is fertile. We have rainfall which lasts for 8 to 9 months in a year.
Suitable climatic conditions.
Very suitable climate. We have even the water of the Nile running there. So agriculture also is one of the areas of the interest that we are asking, because food security comes first in everything. So agriculture is one of the areas. Apart from agriculture, many people would like to go for oil, which is also there. And this area, we have also have enough oil exploration to take place in South Sudan, because the wells that are now running, or the oil wells that had been operational, this was discovered sometimes back during the war. And that time during the war, some areas were not accessible. So now that the war is over, more oil exploration need to be conducted all over South Sudan. We may discover so many oil fields in South Sudan. Apart from oil, we also have gold, and then we have cement. These are the areas. There are so many things that any interested person can be able to find where his interest lies in South Sudan.
And what about the education sector?
This is, of course, when you come to education, we have also been aware of how India has succeeded in the area of technology. And it is one of the areas that was mentioned in that when the delegation came to South Sudan. We had wanted the computer technology. We have also asked our friends in India in the area of medical fields. We have also requested for example, the computer technology.
The concept of one laptop per child.
Yes, because now that here in India, the technology is better. It has changed even the way things used to be done in the past. And many people around the world, even if you go to United States of America, when you hear of the Silicon Valley in California, you find that the majority of these computer engineers or software engineers, most of them are from India. So that one has made us feel that India can help us in so many areas.
Correct.
This is not only what I've mentioned here. There are so many areas which are not even in our minds now, which is still India can be able to help us in. So, you see, so we have a lot. India has a lot to do for us.
And your last words?
Well, my last word here is that I really appreciate this time that the Times of Africa has given me this opportunity in the name of the Embassy of the Republic of South Sudan, which is a new embassy in New Delhi. In fact, it is a baby embassy here. That we have come to India to stay, and the embassy has already been set up. For our viewers who are listening to these interviews, we would like them to visit us in our embassy because many of the questions are not here. Anybody who has any question to ask about what he wants to know or what she wants to know about South Sudan can visit our embassy in South Delhi, and we will be able to give them the information that they really need. And I conclude by thanking the Times of Africa for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, yes.
That was the Deputy Head of Mission from the Embassy of South Sudan in a candid interview to the Times of Africa. Thank you so much.